A man stands outside a cemetery in Berlin. He wears the red and white patch of the Hells Angels, the symbol of one of the most feared biker clubs on earth.
For the Hells Angels.
Investigation of the Hells Angels.
And the Hells Angels actually love our country, if you can believe that. They actually do.
Links to the Hells Angels.
Outlaw a motorcycle, a gang.
A reporter asks him a simple question. How do you want to die? The biker laughs. I hope I don't die at all, as long as nobody shoots at me. 1 month later, someone does. 17 bullets, fired at close range. And the murder remains unsolved. But to understand why that man had to die, you have to understand the world he lived in. A world ruled for decades by one man, Frank Heinbuth. For years, Hanover was considered the secret capital of the Hells Angels in Germany, not Berlin, not Hamburg, Hanover, and the reason had a name, Frank Heinbuth. He started as a professional boxer, a tough kid from a modest background, but boxing was only the beginning. Soon, Heinbuth moved into another arena, the nightlife, bars, clubs, security businesses, and eventually, an empire. With his Hells Angels behind him, Heinbuth built a network of businesses across Hanover. Bars, brothels, fitness studios, security companies. Money flowed through the city's nightlife, and Heinbuth stood right in the middle of it. Some called him a gangster, others called him something very different, the mayor of nightlife. Thousands of people came to the parties, huge biker events, sponsors, crowds, Harleys lining the streets, beer flowing, and right in the center of it all, Frank Heinbuth. But Heinbuth had something rare in the biker world, connections, real ones. His lawyer, Götz von Fromberg, the same man who once served as best man to former German Chancellor Gerhard Schröder. Heinbuth moved effortlessly between two worlds. 1 foot in the underworld, 1 foot in high society, gangster, gourmet, host, boss. Very few men in the biker scene could play that role. And for a long time, it worked. But the biker world was changing, fast. New clubs were expanding, rivals were arming themselves, and the streets of Germany were turning into battlefields. The biggest enemy of the Hells Angels? Another biker club, the Bandidos. What followed was one of the bloodiest biker wars Germany had ever seen. The year was 2007, and both sides began recruiting aggressively. Young men, violent men, men who wanted power. But the strategy came with a risk, because when you recruit fast, you also recruit the wrong people. One of those men was Stefan R., a supporter of the Hells Angels, and eventually, a key witness for the police. He claimed that members of the Hells Angels had tortured and murdered a man named Tekken B in a repair shop. A brutal execution, but investigators faced a problem. There was almost no evidence, and the witness himself? Unreliable. Still, police moved in. During one raid on Heinbuth's property, elite counter-terror unit GSG-9 stormed the estate. The operation ended with a strange detail. Police shot Heinbuth's dog. Heinbuth later said the raid was unnecessary. If they had rung the bell, I would have opened the door. But the pressure was building. From the police, from rival gangs, and from inside his own club. Because the biggest threat to power in the Hells Angels is often another angel. In 2013, Heinbuth made a move that surprised many. He left Germany and relocated to Mallorca. Palm trees, luxury villas, beach clubs, Europe's biggest party island. But investigators believed something else was happening. International expansion. Spanish police suspected a network involving drug trafficking, money laundering, and prostitution. Then came the arrest. Heinbuth was taken into custody at a friend's finca. The charges were serious, and for the first time, the most famous Hells Angel in Germany was behind bars. But the case slowly collapsed. Evidence was thin. witnesses unreliable. After 3 years, prosecutors had to release him. And when Hannibeth returned to Hanover for his birthday, the reception looked more like a victory parade. Hundreds of bikers, friends, business partners, all celebrating. For the outside world, it looked like nothing had changed. But inside the biker scene, everything had, because a new generation was rising. One of them was Aygün Mucuk. Mucuk was different from the old guard, young, ambitious, and connected to new biker-like groups. For many members of the Hells Angels, he represented the future. For others, he was a threat. In Frankfurt, tensions escalated, especially with one man, Walter Burkhardt, better known as Schnitzel Walter, a powerful Hells Angels leader and a millionaire of the underground economy. At first he supported Mucuk, then everything changed. Lucrative bouncer jobs disappeared, business connections vanished, power shifted. Soon the conflict exploded. At Frankfurt's Katana Club, around 40 bikers stormed the building. Gunshots followed, Hells Angels shooting at Hells Angels, an unthinkable scenario, but only the beginning. Mucuk began building alliances with groups like Ottomans and Guerrilla Nation. More men, more influence, more power. For the old generation inside the Hells Angels, this crossed a line. At an international biker meeting in Warsaw, the issue was discussed. Should Mucuk be punished, expelled, disciplined? Instead, he was pardoned. But the tensions never disappeared. Then came the day in Berlin. A funeral, a biker gathering. Mucuk walked through the cemetery, surrounded by allies, greeting police officers, breaking another rule of the club, and just minutes later, he was asked that question. How do you want to die? He laughed. 1 month later, someone waited outside his clubhouse. When Mucuk arrived, the shooter opened fire. 17 shots at close range. The 45-year-old died instantly. The murder shocked the German biker scene, but even today, the case remains unsolved. No convictions, no clear motive, no official culprit. But in the violent world of the Hells Angels, power rarely changes hands peacefully. And the question remains, in a world built on loyalty, how many enemies do you really need when betrayal can come from inside your own brotherhood?